好，我代表三藩市華人宣道會愛鄰社，歡迎大家嚟參加今日嘅智能手機拍攝工作坊、攝影工作坊。I welcome everyone on behalf of San Francisco Chinese Alliance Church, the communal mission team organized the smartphone photography 301. 301啦. That means we have had 201 and 101 before. So if you miss any of that, don't worry. You can go to YouTube and then you can watch the video again. 頭先都講到啦，今日係愛鄰社製作嘅智能電話攝影工作坊301，咁即係話咧，我哋係已經有201同101嘅。咁如果你係冇參加到我哋嘅201同埋101嘅話，唔使擔心，因為咧你係可以上去 YouTube 嗰度嚟到去睇翻個 video 嘅。我唔記得咗開個 video 添，我開翻自己嘅 video。Hello， 大家睇到我啦，嗬？OK。
如果 YouTube 個 title 係乜嘢啊 ？YouTube 啊？
都係呢個 smartphone photography。
係英文啊？
英文啊。係啦，如果唔係咧，你都可以去翻我哋個愛鄰社嘅網站，即係教會嘅網站嗰度咧。
愛鄰社嘅網站啊 ，OK。係
啦，即係教會愛鄰社嗰頁，你都可以揾翻101同埋2，即係101同201，click 入去都可以睇翻嘅。OK， 係啦，咁我哋好多謝大家參加啦。唔知今日有冇新朋友咧？係第一次嚟參加嘅，如果有咧，我哋歡迎你。咁如果我哋去到最尾，我哋會可能會有 Q&A 嘅問題啦。咁喺我哋開始嘅時候咧，就希望大家都好乖，mute 晒啦。OK，today we will have we will have a Q&A at the end. But if during the workshop, we will ask you to mute your mic. If you have any question, you can type in the chat, and then we will, in a certain time, we will let the Erin, our teacher, know about your question, and then she will answer. 咁如果你係喺中間有問題問嘅話，你可以喺個 chat room 嗰度咧打個問題，咁我哋就會俾阿 Erin 知道，咁佢就會係為大家解答㗎啦。或者我哋都會可能會俾你哋開咪嚟到去講嘅，或者可能 Erin 佢都會問你哋有冇問題，嗰陣時你哋就可以開翻你哋個咪嚟問問題。Okay, so maybe during the workshop, Erin, she will ask you guys if you guys have any question, then you can, turn on your mic and then answer the questions. Ask the questions, and then she will answer your questions. Okay, shall we start? And before we start, we would like to ask 寶儀師母 to lead us a prayer. 咁喺開始之先咧，我哋請阿寶儀師母同我哋做一個開始祈禱。
好，多謝大家，歡迎大家參加我哋愛鄰社嘅活動，好高興再見到大家。咁我哋一齊有個祈禱啊，好冇？Welcome everyone. I'm so glad to see you again today at our CMT event. So let's begin with a word of prayer. Dear God, we give thanks to you for bringing us together to get to know each other and also to learn photography. And through this amazing tour, we can capture the beauty that you created. We know that you create all this world and you are the creator and you are the King of Kings and God of Gods. 神，我哋多謝你今日俾我哋咧可以再一次聚集，可以認識大家，彼此認識，亦都可以咧學習呢一個影相。透過呢一個好奇妙嘅工具咧，我哋可以去捕捉神你所創造嘅一切美麗嘅風景。因為主，我哋知道你係嗰個創造者，你亦都係嗰個萬王之王、萬主之主。我哋將呢段時間交託俾你，求你與我哋嘅導師Erin 同在，都同我哋嘅翻譯嘅姊妹阿 Jo 同在，亦都同我哋每一位咧同在，以至咧我哋有一個好開心快樂嘅時間。God, we give thanks to you and we uplift our speaker, Erin, to you, and we uplift our interpreter, Joe, to you, as well as everybody here, so that we can have a fun and enjoyable time. In Jesus Christ's name I prayed. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome to Smartphone Photography 301. Today we're going to be learning how to shoot food.
好，歡迎大家嚟到今次智能手機拍攝攝影工作坊301。
So one of the reasons, so actually, if you didn't come to the first or second classes, I am a food photographer. One of the reasons I love shooting food is because food connects everyone. It's something that everyone enjoys. It's something that we can all talk about. We can all share in together. So really at the heart of food, it's community.
OK， 咁咧就如果大家係 miss 咗，即係冇睇到101同埋201嘅，唔緊要，頭先都講過㗎啦，可以睇翻 video。咁咧Erin 本身咧佢係一個食物嘅專業攝影師。咁點解佢會影食物咧？因為佢覺得咧食物咧係可以聯繫大家嘅，即係我哋中國人都講啦，民以食為先啊嘛。咁所以咧食物咧係可以將我哋嘅彼此之間嘅關係個感情咧聯繫埋一起嘅。
So that's one of the reasons I gravitate towards it. So today, with your phone.
我頭先聽唔到，因為停靜咗，聽唔到你講嗰個。
Oh,
sorry, Erin, I can't hear, because kind of like you're mute in the middle.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I just want to get started, so I want to share my screen.
OK， Erin 而家開始佢就會去分享我哋個畫面俾我哋一齊睇。
Okay, so this is our class today. So today will be broken up into 8 steps. I just wanted to try to simplify it as much as possible.
好啦，今日咧會分為2部分，咁咧就第一部分咧就係會有8個 tips 俾大家。
So if you guys remember these 8 tips, I think you are well on your way to making better food photos, okay?
好啦，如果你能夠掌握到啲8個 tips 嘅話咧，得㗎啦，掂㗎啦，你可以影到靚嘅相。
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all of the tips first, and then afterwards I'm going to actually do a demonstration so you can see how I utilize these tips in my own photography.
好，首先咧Erin 就會將啲8個 tips 咧就話晒俾大家知，然後咧佢就會即時現場咧就做一個示範模式俾你睇，啲8個 tips 點樣運用去影相嘅。
Okay, so let's begin.
開始啦。
So I apologize, I don't have this all translated in Chinese, so Auntie Jo, I hope you can help me.
OK， 咁佢冇翻譯中文，因為上嗰2次咧佢有寫中文喺後邊嘅，今次冇，咁咧我就會係好簡單咁話俾大家知。
Okay, so the very first thing, I know a lot of people do this, and this is a big no-no. Never turn on your flash for food photography.
好啦，好多人咧都以為我哋可以開咗閃光燈就掂㗎啦，但係其實唔係嘅，其實咧閃光燈係最唔應該開、唔應該用嘅。
So let me talk a little bit about that. What happens when you use flash is it becomes a very direct source of light. We talked about this in 101 and 201, but it basically makes all your food flat. It loses depth and loses dimension.
好啦，用閃光燈咧就係佢一個直射光。如果呢個直射光咧，其實喺101同201都講過㗎啦。咁大家可以去睇翻。咁其實直射光嘅嗰個光源咧，就令到所有嘢咧就太混長啦，太多光啦，咁令到佢就冇咗個立體感，會好平扁。
So on the left, you can see the colors are washed out. There's no contrast. It's all very, very flat. And then on the right, that one doesn't use flash. So you see more depth, you see shadows, you see contrast. It's much more appealing.
嗱喺呢2張相裏邊就已經可以立見高下。左邊咧用閃光燈嘅，你見到咧顏色又唔靚啦，好淡啦，又冇立體感啦，陰暗度又冇光位又冇暗位。但係喺右手邊嗰張咧就佢冇用閃光燈，你就即時咧見到好立體嘅，見到有光位有暗位同埋啲陰影位，咁令到咧整張相同埋啲顏色咧係好鮮明嘅。你見到紅就紅，綠就綠，橙就橙，咁咧就變咗整張相嚟講咧都係好美觀好靚嘅。
So when we avoid flash, It basically means that we have to find the best lighting. We talked a lot about this in the first class. You can have very beautiful subjects, but if you don't have good light, you're not going to have a good photo.
好啦，如果唔用閃光燈，咁邊度有光咧？係咪？咁光呢一樣嘢咧，我哋喺101咧已經講咗好多㗎啦。咁咧就一定要有光，同埋你可以用好多方法去揾到啲光啲光源，揾到一個合適嘅光源，咁你就可以影到一張靚嘅相。
So you look at these photos. These are examples of hard light. We talked about this. And these are examples of photos that maybe you have taken before, maybe at dinner, maybe inside a restaurant, and they have spotlights or yellow lights inside. The food is just very hard to look at. The lighting is not good. It's kind of yellow. The colors aren't vibrant.
好，咁你見到啲幾張相嘅例子啦，就係眼光，啲眼光咧，我哋喺101講咗好多㗎啦，咁大家可以聽翻。咁你睇到咧啲光，通常呢啲就係我哋喺餐館啊或者室外嗰陣時候咧，就呢啲就係啲光源啦。咁出嚟個效果係唔靚嘅，你見到唔係就好硬啦，即係好我哋叫死光死黑啦咁樣，同埋一係就好黃咁咁樣，啲光係唔靚嘅，出嚟啲顏色亦都唔吸引，亦都唔令到我哋嗰個胃口好好嘅。
So we normally don't want to shoot in that kind of light. We want to shoot in soft light. And soft light is the kind of light that comes in that is diffused through a window or through the clouds. So it's a lot softer. It creates more even lighting and less hard shadows.
好啦，咁通常咧，我哋就唔用咧硬光啦，就通常我哋就會用呢啲柔和嘅光線嘅。通常啲柔和光線咧就經過過濾，可能係窗門嘅光啦，或者係一啲反射嘅光，咁令到佢咧就唔會係死黑死白，咁啲顏色相對嚟講比較係勻循嘅得嚟，但係都仍然仲有啲立體感。
So it's important that you choose a place to shoot your photos that has soft light. So for me, that means shooting by windows a lot. When I'm inside, you have to choose a spot that has good, even light by a window. If you're not getting that light, chances are you're already setting yourself up for a bad photo.
好啦，咁如果你即係想影呢啲相嘅時候咧，就最好就係揾咩叫嗰啲柔和光線，就係揾窗門嘅光啦。咁如果你揾冇窗門嘅光咧，基本上你就係擺你自己喺一個難處，因為咧你冇好嘅光源咧，就唔能夠影到一張好嘅相嘅。
Right. So third thing I use a lot in my work is this thing called the bounce card. So what it is basically a white piece of paper that I use to reflect light. So if the window is to the right, I put the bounce card to the left so that the subject can get a little bit more light in the areas of shadow.
好啦，咁佢通常喺自己嘅 studio 影相嘅時候咧，佢就會用好多叫做反射光。點樣咧？佢就將個影嘅主體就擺喺窗門嘅一邊啦。咁另外一邊咧就會用一個白色嘅嗰啲叫做紙板啦，或者係啲風board， 即係嗰啲小朋友做 project 咧嗰啲咁嘅白色嗰啲板啦，嚟去反射翻由窗門去照入嚟。嘅光去反射翻喺個主體嗰度嘅攝影嘅主體嗰度嘅。
So you can see in the first photo, it's a little bit darker, and once you add the bounce card, the light is coming from the right side. Once you put the bounce card on the left side, it brightens all these shadows up here. You see that compared to that?
好啦，你見到左邊咧嗰張相咧就比較黑啲，同埋佢因為冇用到嗰個反光板啦，我哋叫做冇用到個反光板咧，所以相對嚟講就係一邊係比較黑啲啦。喺個陰暗位嗰度見唔見到？而家頭先Erin 係啦，而家箭最喐緊嗰度就係啲 shadow 位，即係陰暗位，咁就相對係黑啲嘅。但係喺右邊嗰個咧，佢就加咗呢塊反光板咧，就將啲光由個窗門反翻落去嗰啲食物個陰暗位嗰度，你係見到個碗底。而家就你會見到嗰啲details， 即係嗰啲裏邊嘅細節啦，見到個碗底同埋嗰啲布嗰啲紋啲顏色。
And then this one's very important. We talked about have a clean background. Sometimes when we get our food at a restaurant or we just cook something, we want to shoot it right away. And maybe behind there's like a flower pot or your recipe is still on the counter, all your dishes are still around. Make sure you're aware of your background. We talked about this in our first class. Sometimes you just see the subject, you take the picture. All these things are actually distracting. Same thing with food. You want to make sure you have a clean background.
好啦，第四個亦都係非常之重要，就係有一個乾淨嘅背景。咁因為你如果背景太過複雜，太多嘢喺度阻住嘅話咧，就影到張相就個主體唔得明顯突出。咁好多時我哋煮完一樣嘢或者整完一樣嘢，就好想即刻影相，咁就發覺影完出嚟點解唔靚嘅？因為好多時可能個煲仲喺隔離啊，啲碟啊、啲叉啊、啲殼啊仲喺度，咁整到個背景咧就好複雜，咁就唔能夠唔靚啦，嗰張相就影響張相嘅效果啦。
Yeah, so some of the examples are, napkins, bags, condiments, someone else's phone, cups, wine glasses, anything like that.
係啦，所有喺你個主體隔離左右嘅嘢咧，譬如可能有人哋嘅電話啦，有啲餐巾啊、手袋或者係刀叉啊等等嘅嘢咧，會影響咗你嘅。呢啲全部都影響咗你嗰張相嗰個嘅主體個效果嘅。
Next is you have to choose the best angle to feature your dish. Sometimes that's the issue. When we get excited, you just take your camera, you shoot it right there, right then. You don't really think about, oh, is there a better angle to shoot this item, this particular thing? So I want to talk about the 3 best angles for food.
OK， 咁另外一樣嘢咧就係角度啦。影相個角度係好重要，因為有好多時我哋一見到一個食物嚟到或者好靚嘅嘢，就即刻嚓咁影相，咁就冇留意到其實呢個角度係咪最好咧？會唔會有另外一啲嘅角度咧係更加之將呢張相呢一啲食物影得更加之靚嘅咧？咁Erin 今日咧就會講3種角度。
These are the ones that I use the most in professional settings, and really the 3 I think best ones for shooting food.
好啦，咁以下落嚟咧，佢會講3個，佢覺得咧，佢影咗咁耐，即係食物嘅相，佢覺得呢3個角度咧，係影食物嚟講係最靚嘅。
And these 3 angles are going to be the top-down angle, the 45-degree angle, which is also known as the diner's view. So normally how you look at food when you're sitting down at a table, and straight on.
OK， 咁呢3個角度咧，就係第一個就係我哋叫頭頂直射喺上邊。90度咁直射落去，直影落去嗰個角度。另外一個咧就係45度角，跟住第3個咧就係水平面去影過去嗰個嘅角度。呢3個。
Okay. So the first angle, top down, this is one of my favorites, and it has a few benefits. It allows you to really capture all the details of your shot completely, and it emphasizes a lot of shape of the dishes and the cutlery and all the objects within a scene.
好啦，咁呢個係佢Erin 其中最中意嘅影嘅角度，就係喺上邊直射落去。點解咧？因為咁樣咧，第一你可以將個主體完全包括晒喺裏邊啦。兼夾咧，仲可以將嗰啲譬如圓形啊、三角形等等嘅形狀，佢想表達嘅都可以喺埋個構圖裏邊去做咗出嚟嘅。
The next one is the 45-degree or the diner view. This one is really natural and you feel comfortable looking at it because that's actually how you normally see food when you're sitting at a table.
好啦，45度角咧，呢個係點解都係好咧？就係因為呢個係我哋平時坐低望到食物嘅角度，所以呢個咧係令到我哋好舒服，唔會覺得好奇怪嘅。所以呢個角度係亦都係一個非常之好嘅角度。
And the last one is the straight on view. And this one's particularly useful when you have food that has height and it has layers, things you want to highlight. Because if you shot, for example, a burger from top down, you wouldn't be able to see the meat and the layers of the food. If you shot a cake from top down, you might not see some of those layers as well. Pancakes, for example, the same thing.
好啦，咁而係喺正面直影埋去嘅咧，有咩個好處咧？就係如果當你個影嘅主體咧，食物咧係高嘅，而咁你想係影到佢一層層嗰啲嘅細節嘅嘢咧，咁你就要用呢一個方法啦。譬如好似你影個漢堡包啊，或者係蛋糕啊等等咧，因為漢堡包可能好高，咁你想影佢裏邊一層層嘅食物咧，咁你就要用呢個係正面嘅方法嚟去影埋佢咧，你就會可以好清楚咁睇到佢每一層嘅包括嘅食物係乜嘢啦。
So obviously you have to make that decision based on what food. I can't say this is the best angle for you all the time. You have to really think about that depending on the food that you are shooting.
嗱， 我唔可以話俾你知啊，你要用邊個角度去影，因為咧每一次影嘅時候咧都唔同，因為你個主體影嘅需要唔同，所以你自己要做呢一個決定，究竟我應該喺上邊影落去啊，抑或係斜斜地45度角啊，抑或係水平咁影埋去咧，就一定要睇下你個食物你想表達係咩嗰個原因嚇，表達啲乜嘢，咁你就用唔同嘅角度嚟影啦。
So the next one is use thoughtful composition. So we talked a lot about composition in the past. All of the things we talked about in 101, you still need to think about them in food. Background, again, we talked about that already, a clean background. We think about space framing, using the rule of thirds, using lines, using symmetry. All of that comes back into play even when you're doing food.
好啦，咁第6點咧就係講嗰個構圖啦。個構圖咧就喺101咧101嗰陣時候講咗好多。咁咧就譬如話個背景啦，嗰個空間嘅運用啦，呢個框架嗰個結構啦，三分法有9宮構圖法啦，線啦，唔同嘅線啦，或者係對稱即係平衡啦嘅呢啲構圖咧，完完全全都要運用翻喺影食物嘅。呢啲嘅基本嘅基礎咧係要運用翻晒，無論你係影食物定係影普通相都好。
And then this is obvious, but sometimes people forget. But you have to focus on your subject. Sometimes we just see food and we shoot it right away. Remember, you have to focus on your subject. And we talked about that and how to do that on our phones. I'll demonstrate it again later on, but that's very important because sometimes you know, you look at food and you're shooting, let's say later on you'll see, but there might be multiple elements in your frame. You want to make sure that the main thing is in focus and the other things are not distracting from the main focus.
好啦，依家咧就講嗰個清晰啊，即係你一定要係嗰個你影嘅主體咧，一定要係sharp， 即係清楚嘅，唔係蒙嘅嚇。咁所以即係可能你影嘅時候咧，隔離左右有好多嘢噶嘛。咁記住，你要影嘅主體，佢一定要係清晰、清楚，而唔係模糊嘅，而唔係。
And this last thing is, it's less so a photography thing, but more so about styling. And it's very important for food to make it look good. And that is to style your dishes. And what I mean by that is sometimes little garnishes, herbs, little salt and pepper, extra sauce, that is the big difference between an okay photo and a really good photo.
第8個咧就係 style 咧，即係可以解釋為型格啦，定係即係唔同嘅款式。咁即係點講啊？即係你要有用唔同嘅配件去令到你呢張相咧係有佢獨特性，你有自己嗰個拍攝嘅獨特性嗰個死啦 style 我真係唔好識點譯添喺呢度。
It's more like adding garnishes and adding little things to really further make the photo interesting.
係啦，有人提我就係話 style 即係風格，係啦，風格你有自己嘅風格或者特色嘅，咁你就可以用唔同嘅，譬如好似佢依家講嘅，譬如一啲嘅配件啦，或者係食材嘅配料啦，嚟到去將你呢張相影得有你自己獨特嘅風格。
Okay. Because that kind of goes along with garnishing, but it's really adding some things into the frame that give more interest and context to it. So for example, if you're shooting a cake, maybe you decorated it with some berries. Maybe you have a little bowl of berries in the background also to kind of tie it together.
係啦，即係好似頭先講就係話，當你影個蛋糕嘅時候，可能佢用咗啲生果啊，或者啲花咁樣，咁你就將嗰啲生果或者嗰啲花咧嚟到係擺埋喺嗰個主體嘅隔離左右旁邊，嚟到做一個構圖，令到呢一張相更加之豐富、更加之靚嘅。
Okay. So those were the 8 major tips. So now I'm going to show you how I utilize this in my actual work. And hopefully you guys can take these tips and use it in your own food when you cook yourself, or if you're at a restaurant and you get this dish, you can use this knowledge to take the best photo possible.
好啦，而家 Erin 咧佢就會去demonstrate， 即係去做一個現場示範俾我哋睇，就係運用啲8點佢點樣去影佢嗰啲食物嘅相嘅。咁希望大家咧都能夠可以掌握到啲8個重點咧。當你係自己喺屋企煮嘢食影相啦，又或者出去餐館嘅時候，你想影嗰啲食物嘅時候咧，都可以用到啲8點嚟幫助你去拍到一張好靚嘅食物嘅相片。
Okay, so first things first. Where I am right now is right by my window, okay? So you can see right here, I'm by my window. So first 2 steps, avoid flash and shoot in even natural light. I'm already doing that. I'm not gonna turn on my flash on my camera and I'm right by my window. My table's right by my window.
好啦，而家我預備好啦。咁你見到咧，我而家嗰個嘅 set up 咧，即係嗰個部署啦，就係喺個窗門隔離嘅。咁咧就咁我就一定唔需要用到個閃光燈啦。咁就用個窗門嘅光嚟去影呢張相。
Okay, so now I'm gonna start sharing my phone with you guys.
好，而家Erin 就用佢個電話嚟去展示俾大家睇下啦。
Guys, see me?
見唔見到佢隻手頭先喺度喐？係啦。
So let's say you just baked a cake.
好啦，你啱啱整好個蛋糕。
You're like, I want to feature this cake. I want to make it look good. So at first, we talked about a few angles, right? I think I'm going to start out demonstrating the top-down angle.
好啦，見唔見到而家佢嘅蛋糕咁佢想咧影個蛋糕影得靚啲嘅，咁佢首先開始咧就用個最頂嘅上邊嗰個嘅角度影落去。
Okay, so I'm going to I have a tripod. You don't need a tripod, but I'm doing that so my hands are free.
好，咁而家Erin 佢就用個腳架，咁我平時我哋去影就唔會嘅，但係因為佢需要用對手嚟去將啲配件或者啲角度咁俾大家睇啦，所以佢要擺落個腳架嗰度。
So I want to demonstrate something that I actually already did, but I want to show you guys what I meant. So at first I said make your background clean, right? So right now my background is already pretty clean, but a lot of times after you cook, you have like your, you just cooked everything, so you have dishes everywhere. Maybe you have your like kitchen towel somewhere like this. You were maybe writing a recipe, so you have your pen and stuff like that. So this is really messy, right?
好啦，你見到啦，咁原先好乾淨啊，但係佢因為想還原翻你啱啱整完嘅時候個台面咧，可能就係咁混亂嘅。
Hello?
頭先係定咗格，可能係 lost 咗嗰個 connection。
Oh, do you hear me now?
唔得，好窒。
等一陣啊。
唔知大家有冇呢個問題？我自己就有。
有。而家好啲。
Is this better?
嚇，而家好啲。Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this is an example of a cluttered background. So we would not be utilizing tip number 4, which is to minimize clutter.
好啦，而家你見到台面好混亂嘅，咁就即係好要去到第4點啦，就係要盡量咧將個背景係清理乾淨清晰嘅。
Mm-hmm. So I would take some of this stuff out before I start even taking a picture, okay? Because this is all very, very distracting.
咁 Erin 而家咧就將啲影響個畫面嘅物件咧就拎開晒啦。
Okay. So sometimes we're like, okay, I baked my cake. I don't really know what to do with it. One thing that is a rule in food photography especially is the rule of 3s. So this is not the rule of thirds, but this is the rule of 3s, which is that for whatever reason, when you see 3 main items, it's really pleasing to see.
嗱，而家咧頭先阿 Erin 講嘅就係話3嘅法則。呢3嘅法則咧唔係構圖嗰個3分法嘅法則喎。3嘅意思係3種物件嘅號 number， 譬如依家你就見到有個砧板、個蛋糕同埋把刀，就係1、2、3 3樣嘢啦。咁咧就係呢個嘅3嘅法則啦。
Okay.
嘅原則。
So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna bring in 2 plates, okay? And remember, we did talk about the rule of thirds, and it's that you see these lines, right, on my screen with the grid lines. I taught you guys about the turning on your grid lines, right?
好啦，而家阿 Erin 咧喺呢個畫面裏邊咧就有一個示範嗱。首先佢就想擺2隻碟，咁佢就擺咗2隻碟喺側邊啦。咁然後另外咧就係喺構圖嗰個3分法咧，你就見到嗰個井形嗰啲叫做線啦，俾你嚟去構圖用嘅。咁咧你就會基於嗰幾條線嚟去擺你嗰個構圖啦。Erin, on your left lower corner, that's the 3rd plate in the view, inside the view.
Take that out. So right now I'm just talking about these plates. So you see here, this is an intersection point, and here this is an intersection point for the rule.
你見唔見？你見唔見到？就係而家佢隻碟嗰度咧，嗰2隻碟咧都喺嗰3分法嗰2條線嘅交匯點裏邊放咗喺嗰度。
Yeah, and this is a good place to review. That is how you focus. You tap on the places you want to focus, right?
係啦，咁你想記得要係對準嘅對焦，係啦，個 focus 就係對焦好。咁你掂一掂個熒光幕咧，應該咧佢就個電話就會幫你自動對焦㗎啦。
Okay, so this composition is already utilizing the rule of thirds.
係啦，而家佢就係運用咗呢個係構圖3分法。
Okay, so now maybe we serve up 2 of these dishes and we start talking about styling it a little bit.
好啦，佢而家就講咗頭先就講咗話嗰個構圖3分法啦，而家咧就講咧嗰個風格啦，你點樣去令到呢張相有你自己嘅構圖嘅風格咧喺度？咁佢而家就示範緊。
So with this overhead view, you actually get to see shapes, right? So you still get to see part of the circle of this cake. I'm going to clean this up later on. This would be considered a distraction.
OK， 嗱，而家佢咁樣，你會見到，因為喺上邊影落去咧，你係會見到嗰啲譬如碟嘅圓形個蛋糕你都見到係有3/4咁多見到係咪？咁你見佢而家切嘅時候咧，就有啲 crumb 嗰啲蛋糕碎喺度。咁呢啲咧都係我哋叫做雜物嚟嘅喎，即係會影響你個背景個清晰度啊。所以咧，我一陣間咧係應該要清走佢，等佢唔好係影響你嗰個嘅背景嘅清晰度嘅。
Mm-hmm. But sometimes I actually kind of like a little bit of crumbs because it looks a little bit more natural than if you cleaned everything, because that's not very realistic. But I would probably take away this stuff so you don't see it.
好，喺正常嘅你切完蛋糕梗係應該有啲碎噶嘛，所以咧佢又唔會將全部清走晒嘅，係留翻少少喺度，係刻意地留喺度嘅。
Mm-hmm. So next, I'd probably do a little bit of we talked about making it a little bit more interesting with garnish, right? Because this cake is interesting and I'm proud that, I baked it, but there could probably be a little bit something more to make it pop.
好啦，咁頭先未講過嘅其中一樣嘢就係我哋可以用食材，即係製作呢一個食物嘅食材嚟去令到個畫面更加之豐富，呢一張相嘅故事性更加之強嘅。咁咧而家Erin 就會係拎一啲嘅食材嚟到去擺落去啦。
So maybe we get some fruits in there, okay? Maybe you add a strawberry.
係啦，咁而家Erin 就擺可能你加啲士多啤梨啦，藍莓啦。
Maybe something like that. If you like, you could, chop some up.
咁好似而家咁，你甚至乎你可以將嗰啲食材咧，將佢切開去做一啲嘅擺位都係好靚嘅，可以。 有時可以隨意啲都 OK 嘅，只要你望落去覺得舒服。
This gets into this whole other genre of food photography or styling, but I just wanted to show you some examples. So I wanted to demonstrate a little bit right here actually about what the bounce card does.
好啦，而家咧即係佢頭先講到話擺啲食物落去咧，即係擺嗰個士多啤梨或者藍莓咧，其實都有一個即係方法或者係一個學問喺當中嘅。咁但係因為今次即係時間嘅原因啦，咁佢就擺住先嘅啫。咁而家佢想示範嘅係乜嘢咧？就係頭先未講到話要有個反光板嚟到去將啲光係反射翻喺個主體嗰度嘅。咁而家佢就會做呢一個程序啦。
So do you guys see this? This is like a piece of cardboard.
係啦，你見唔見到而家佢手上揸住嗰塊白色嘅板咧？
So now I want you to, I'm going to zoom in just to show you guys.
好啦，而家 close up 啲，即係近接啲。
Yeah. So you see how there's shadow on the strawberry here?
好，咁你見唔見到咧？喺個士多啤梨側邊咧，有個佢自己本身影子，因為個窗嗰啲光射入嚟嘅時候，個士多啤梨嗰邊咧就有啲陰暗影啦，或者個碟邊咧，你都見到一個好深黑色嘅半月彎咁樣，半月形喺度。
So I want to show you, I'm going to bring in the bounce card right here.
嗱，你望實個影，係啊，你望實個陰影喎。當眼。
Let me show you here.
OK， 嗱，你留意住嗰啲陰影位喎。當阿 Erin 將張卡袋入去嘅時候咧，你就會發現嗰啲陰影位係唔見咗或者少咗、弱咗嘅。
You see that？
睇唔睇到？嗱，再嚟多次，嗱，睇住陰影，見唔見到？係啦。
即係
Yeah。
When you take it away，
見唔見到個士多啤梨？係啦。
You see even the shadow right here, it gets a lot lighter。
係啦，見唔見到大家嗱冇咗啦，基本上差唔多個碟下邊嗰個黑色嗰個半月彎都唔見咗啦，而家又好出翻嚟好深色啦，又冇咗啦。咁Oh no, go ahead.
This is just a way to sometimes when it's too dark, you allow more light to fill your screen, and it just allows you to get more detail in a lot of the food. Sometimes it's not that your food's not like delicious and pretty, it's just that you don't have enough light on it, you don't see enough detail.
係啦，咁即係如果咧點講？如果你太過黑咧，你睇唔到嗰啲食物嗰啲裏邊嗰啲細節啊、細微位啊，咁所以你係需要係幫佢補光嘅，令到嗰啲細微位咧，即係喺黑暗位裏邊咧都可以呈現到出嚟，咁咧就令到你嘅食物咧望起上嚟更加之靚同埋係好味道。
So let me go back to my original frame. Put this here, put this here. So this is a pretty good photo already. I have 1 element, 2 elements, 3 elements. Okay.
好啦，頭先咧亦都講過一個叫number 3嘅原則，就係你見到啦嗱，佢有1碟蛋糕、2碟蛋糕，同埋第3個物件就係嗰個蛋糕同埋嗰個 cupboard 嗰個砧板嗰個就係3個嘅物體用物體啦，而家唔係物件啦，物體咁其實呢個構圖都好靚㗎啦，已經幾好唔錯，係咪？
So let's see if we can enhance it even more. So one of the things we learned about composition is lines. So there are actually subtle ways you can use lines to draw attention. We know that our eyes follow lines.
記唔記得我哋講構圖嘅時候咧，用線係我哋對眼咧係跟住啲線走噶嘛，所以咧我哋其實可以利用線條咧嚟到增強呢一幅相嗰個嘅畫面構圖感嘅。
And a way that you do that with food is you use utensils, because by nature they are lines. Let me take that out. So I like to use utensils to really make the direction of your eye go towards the subject.
好啦，喺影食物嚟講咧，你就可以用嗰啲刀刀叉叉啦，呢啲嘅配件咧嚟到去創造嗰啲線出嚟。你見到佢而家用叉咧個方向係你會跟住個匙羹尾去到個叉嘅齒嗰個方向入，咁兩個咧都向住中間 去嘅，由側邊由個相嘅邊向住個相嘅中間去嘅，咁咧就會將你對眼嘅視線咧由外邊，然後走入去中間嘅。你見到嘛？
So that's just a subtle way to draw your attention towards the center of the photo where a lot of the action is happening.
佢呢個方法咧係一個好比較我哋叫做隱密啲嘅方法，唔係話真係咁明顯嘭一聲擺喺你前個樣前邊嘅，佢一啲比較係subtle 係即係唔係咁明顯，係啦，唔係咁明顯，唔係咁明顯嘅方法嚟去帶出嚟嘅，係啦。
Yeah. And I'll give you another example because even the knife is doing that. Even the knife direction is coming down and it's still pointing at the subject. You would feel a little bit more uncomfortable if it were just like randomly like this.
嗱，啱啱咧 Erin 就喺度展示咗就係頭先你見到把刀咧，即係向住裏邊嘅，咁咧就係帶即係用線咁帶翻入去個相嘅中間啦。咁佢跟住又擰歪咗喎，擰側咗，你覺得唔舒服㗎。嗱，佢而家咁樣咧，擰側咗嘅話咧，你覺得唔舒服嘅。
Like it's just where is it pointing? Why is it parallel? Why what's the purpose there?
係啦，點解嗰把刀會喺嗰度咧？無啦啦喺嗰度出現咧？冇好似冇原因嘅，好求其嘅，真係求其咁擺喺度嘅啫喎。
So that's just, these are little things that people don't think too much about, but when you're creating a photo, it's really what separates like an okay photo from like an actually good photo.
係啦，咁呢啲嘢通常影嘅時候咧，我哋如果隨意影咧，可能未必會留意到啊。咁但係如果你好細心咁將啲細節都做好嘅話咧，你張相同普通咁影咧就好大分別啦，就會睇到一個隨意影同真係刻意去將個畫面構造出嚟嘅係有好大嘅分別嘅。
Okay, so another thing we want to do maybe is I talked about having 3 subjects. You can actually add a few more things. It's really a rule. The reason it's comfortable when there's 3 things is because that's a minimal number. It's still a group and it's an odd number. The real, how do I explain this?
其實咧，即係影相嘅時候咧，咁係有啲我哋所謂叫做魔術號碼嚇。咁3咧就係單數嘅最，即係如果我哋影相嘅時候單元啦，3咧已經係最細嘅號number 嚟㗎啦。有啲係3啊、5啊、9啊咁樣，總之係單數㗎啦。咁咧係呢個係一個原理嚟嘅。咁頭先你見到咧，佢有3組食物，就係2碟蛋糕同埋一個係2碟切開咗嘅蛋糕，同埋一個係被切開嗰一整個嘅蛋糕，係3樣嘢。呢個係就係呢個叫做魔術號碼嘅原則。咁你見到而家 Erin 佢再加咗兩組嘢入去啦，就變咗5組啦。
And this is still following that rule, that magic number rule of odds, and especially with food. Especially with plates and circles like that, odd number of items just feels really comfortable.
係啦，咁呢個就係魔術號碼單數啊，即係單數嘅。咁你見到而家加2個咧，就變咗5件，係咪？5件仍然係單數嚟㗎。咁加埋一樣嘢咧，你見到佢嗰全部嗰啲一組嘅嘢咧，都係圓形嘅。咁好，即係呢個真係魔術啦，只可以講就係話圓形咧配合單數咧。係唔知點解係好夾嘅，係好互相配合嘅。
It's really nice. Yeah. So this is a good place to review a few functions on the phone we talked about. So I already told you one of the important things is we always have to focus. So you tap, right, to focus. So these
記住，即係呢啲就係運用翻之前教過嘅原則嚟去將呢張相嚟有構圖啊等等嘅嘢光線啊。咁記得最重要嘅就係點啊？對焦，我終於記得個中文啦，對焦係對焦，冇錯啦，記得要對焦，點嗰個電話嗰個屏幕嚟到去對焦。
And then if you want to expose it a little bit more, remember you hold your finger and you can slide, oops, sorry. Actually, this is a good one too. You hold your finger after focusing and it auto focuses on that spot. So if you tap it, it just focuses. But if you tap and then you hold it, you see where it says AEAF lock. It means the focus is locked there now.
喺阿 Erin 嗰個相機咧就有啲個功效嘅，就係當佢如果就咁點點咧，佢就係 focus， 即係對焦咗啫。但係如果你點住佢，停留1-2秒咧，佢直情會鎖住呢個對焦位。但呢一個功用咧，我唔知係咪所有人嘅電話都得，可能有啲人電話未必得嘅。
Yeah, I think all iPhones have it, and I'm pretty sure all the Samsungs and Androids, if you have like a newer model phone, they all have this function.
好啦，如果你係蘋果電話咧，就肯定一定有嘅。但係如果你係 Android 嗰啲咧，就可能要比較新啲嘅電話先有。比較舊啲嘅 model 咧，就唔肯定有冇啦。
Okay. So another thing we can do here is if you tap it and you drag your finger up, it gives you higher exposure, so you get more light. And if you drag it down, it becomes darker.
好啦。Excuse me， 咁喺蘋果手機咧，就係如果你掂住佢咧，你會見到隔離咧有條線，有個太陽喺度嘅，就係話如果你向上推咧就光嘅，可以俾多啲光，咁向下咧拉嘅話咧就會暗嘅，就會黑啲張相，係整體喎，唔係獨立，即係某一啲嘅地方喎，係整體嘅嚇。向上推咧就係光啲，向下咧就係暗啲。咁 Android 咧有啲電話就係你點佢咧，佢個 bar 就喺下邊係打橫嘅，咁佢都會有加號同減號。如果加號咧就加多啲光，即係亮啲啦，光亮啲啦。如果佢減號嗰邊咧就減光，就暗啲嘅。
Yep, perfect. Okay, so I like the exposure here right now. I brought it a little bit higher. I think it's nice. It makes it a little bit brighter.
好，Erin 而家咧咁佢就即係已經對咗焦。兼夾咧，將個光咧係提高少少，咁令到呢一張相咧就明亮啲嘅。
So I'll take one right here.
咁佢就影啦。
So if you guys have just something, if you guys are sitting by a window and you have something that you could use, like maybe a cup or something, just any subject, this is a good time to just practice and see how things look different when you drag up and down if you're by a window. Just so you understand this concept.
好啦，嗱，而家咧，如果你喺個窗邊啦，屋企有啲杯啊、剩咧，你可以即刻嚟去試下，去運用翻頭先所教嘅，去睇下嗰個效果成果係點樣。
Okay, so this is again an example of the top-down view. This is important and an important type of angle because you get to really feature like a whole scene. If I were to make this more interesting and if I had like family or friends around, I would even have someone, you know, put their hand in, have someone sit there, put their hand in. It gives life to the photo.
好啦，咁呢一個咧就係喺頭頂度影落去啦，咁都係就係可以第一影晒嗰啲嗰個主體同埋個材料等等嗰啲嘢啦，同埋個構圖啦。咁另外咧，如果譬如佢呢個係有好多幾個人喺度一齊嘅話咧，佢會可能要邀請1-2個咧揸住隻叉，有變咗咧嗰個張相裏邊咧有人喺裏邊，有啲生氣，有啲live 即係有啲生氣啦，有啲活嘅感覺喺裏邊，可以加添。
Okay. So let's change to another angle and we can talk a little bit more about some of these tips, okay?
好啦，而家我哋轉過另外一個角度咯，我哋唔喺頭頂影落去啦，咁我哋可以再運用翻啲頭先嗰啲原理嚟去創造另外一張相。
So I want to also point out that a lot of times the top-down angle is really great for group shots of like different dishes because you can feature so many things. But let's say you have one really pretty piece of cake and you want to make that the complete focus, then maybe we move down to a 45-degree angle.
好啦，咁喺頭頂影落去有個咩好處就係，如果譬如話你唔係得一碟餸，你有好幾碟餸噶嘛，咁你頭頂影落去嘅話咧，你就可以包括多幾個，即係嗰個多啲嘅範圍，你可以影到多啲嘅範圍，包含多啲嘅影像咁樣，係啦。咁如果你淨係得一碟，你想譬如話我主體想影一碟餸嘅啫，咁可能就45度角嘅呢個角度咧係比較適合嘅。
Okay, so moving down a little bit, you can tell to a more dynamic view.
係啦。你睇到啊 Erin 而家咧，佢就即係你睇到細嘅畫面咧，你睇到啊佢嗰支 腳架成日見到佢搬咗個相機咧，就斜斜地啦，落咗嚟，係一個大概45度角嘅嗰個方向啦。咁嗰個電話嗰個相機望到嗰個影像咧，就係喺你個大個熒幕嗰邊。見到個蛋糕嗰個，見唔見到咧？
Now, at first, we had the cake facing this way on the top, but I want you to notice something. This is actually very, very important. The light is coming from the window this way, right? So that is...
咁頭先嗰個蛋糕咧就唔係呢個方向㗎，咁係而家呢個方向嘅。咁你記住咧，就係話嗰啲光喺右手邊，而家 Erin 隻手嗰邊嗰個方向咧照埋嚟嘅，係啦。
That means that if the cake is slanted this way, it's going to be in shadow a little bit. The strawberry is going to be a little bit darker.
係啦，嗱呢個方向嘅話咧，咁你見到因為個蛋糕咧係斜斜地㗎嘛，如果個光喺嗰邊嚟咧，個蛋糕面就變咗喺個陰暗位啦。嗰個士多啤梨嗰邊咧都係喺陰暗位嗰邊啊。
So this is a good opportunity if you actually, already, you can't change the plate, it's already been plated. This is a good opportunity if you see me, I have a bounce card. You can come in with the bounce card and it makes it right here.
咁你見到啦，呢個咧就係一個最佳嘅情況咧，就可以將你張反光板擺入嚟啦。你見到而家冇反光板係咁嘅，有陰暗嘅。咁當佢擺咗個反光板落嚟咧，就見唔見到咧？就即刻個陰暗位咧就消失咗好多，光猛咗好多啦。特別個蛋糕咧上邊咧，本來係灰灰地嘅嘛，而家咧就係雪白色啦。
So before I use the bounce card, let me style this photo. So now we're not giving equal focus to the whole scene like the top-down photo, right? Now we really want to focus on this piece. This is in the background. It's there for context, but we might not want to make it the main focus. So we're looking at this mainly.
好啦，咁我哋而家最主要就揀咗個主體係乜嘢？而家咧就揀咗就係切開咗嗰片蛋糕咧係一個主體嚟嘅，同埋士多啤梨個碟。咁後邊嗰個咧只不過係一個我哋叫配角啦。咁喺後邊係令到呢個相咧嗰個內容更加之豐富嘅啫。
So
咁應該點做咧？
A great opportunity to utilize what we learned in 201, which is using portrait mode.
好啦，而家咧就係一個最佳嘅實習嘅情況咧，就係喺2001嗰陣時，我哋曾經用過呢個人像攝影嘅模式嚟到去點樣係將個主體突出嚟嘅。而家呢個咧就係最佳嘅時候去運用啦。
So at first, I was in just regular photo mode, and particularly for my phone, I have a function where I can do 2x zoom, and it doesn't lose resolution, but I would normally not recommend you using the zoom function to take photos of food because you lose detail when you do that. You try to just move your phone rather than zoom in. Like don't do this. You see how it looks blurry?
OK， 咁咧就Erin 嘅相機咧，佢係有呢一個嘅功效嘅，就係咩咧？就係可以叫做，其實好多相機都可以，我哋叫 zoom in， 即係話將啲影像拉近你個相機去放大佢，但係咧 Erin 佢就唔提議大家咁用，點解咧？因為你用咗呢一個嘅功效咧，即係將啲遠嘢拉近嘅話咧，你係失去咗好多相應該有嘅細節嘅嘢，同埋佢會令到嗰個畫面嘅質素咧係降低嘅，所以佢就唔提議。但係因為佢個電話咧有另外一個功效咧，就係可以叫放大2倍，咁都唔會損失呢啲畫面嘅質素嘅，所以佢可以即係佢個電話係能夠可以做到，淨係2倍啫，多過2倍咧都會損失嗰個畫嘅相嘅質素嘅。
So I do want to use portrait mode. That was just a nice, I just wanted to point that out for regular use on the photo mode. But in portrait mode, I basically want to use portrait mode now. So portrait mode, you really can't zoom because it's fixed. But we're going to move over to portrait mode now.
OK， 頭先所講嘅咧就係平時一般普通影相，即係有啲人中意係放大啲嘢，所以淨係想提出嚟俾大家知道，放大嗰個會影響嗰張相影咗出嚟之後嗰個質素嘅。 咁而家咧，因為呢一張相係需要用到呢個人像模式嚟去拍攝，而人像模式咧係冇呢個放大嘅功能嘅。
Okay, so we're in portrait mode now. Again, we're going to tap to focus. And I find it a little bit dark right here. What I think I'll do later on is use that bounce card right here.
好，咁而家咧就係用呢個人像模式啦，去影呢一張相啦。咁記得要掂一掂去等佢咧對焦，係啦，清晰。咁咧而家你見到個蛋糕咧係嗰個白色嗰度係有少少灰灰地嘅，因為就係啲陰影造成嘅。咁咧佢一陣間 Erin 咧就應該係會用反光板嚟到去補光嘅。
So normally when you're shooting something that is up close like this, there's probably something beautiful you want to highlight. So I'm going to pretend like this dessert came and maybe it had some cream on it like this.
OK 咁通常咧，你會影咁我哋叫近攝啦，咁將個主體放到咁大嘅原因咧，就係梗係呢一樣嘢咧，梗係有啲好靚嘅嘢，你好想去好影清楚俾大家睇嘅。咁而家 Erin 咧就用啲 whipped cream 擺上去就代表即係你想影好靚嗰個主要嘅嗰個係啦，個畫面啦，係。
Something like that. We add a blueberry.
你見到佢喺度整理緊嘅，係啦，令到個構圖係更加之好，嗰個碟主體係靚啲嘅嗰啲構圖。
Maybe some honey.
係啦，呢啲係加啲嘅點綴落去啦，令到張相個主體更加之係突出啦，靚啦。
So now we'll put it in the center. Now let's use that rule of odds again. Let's put one more thing in the background. Again, we're thinking about a clean background. This background's already pretty clean. Normally, if you're in a restaurant, maybe there's a bunch of cups, maybe there's a wine glass, maybe there's other people's plates and someone's cell phone in the back. That's stuff you want to be aware of before you take your photo. Be like, hey, could you move that? Could you move that?
OK 嗱而家個畫面好清楚、好清晰，係咪？咁咧就一陣間我哋又會再講嗰個魔術號單數嘅。咁你會見到頭先啦，阿 Erin 又擺一啲蜜糖啊啲嘢，佢只不過係想係。話俾大家知，當你特別喺餐館啦，同朋友食飯嗰時候想影相咧，可能喺側邊有好多電話啊、叉啊、杯啊，去影響你呢個構圖嗰個背景嘅清晰度。咁你記得咧，可能同你啲朋友講，唔好意思啊，麻煩你將個電話攞開啊，或者你杯水要攞開啲先啊，去影呢一張相，令到嗰個背景後邊咧係清晰啲嘅。咁你見到啦，嗰個所謂叫魔術單數係而家唔係嘅，而家係得兩組物件嘅啫，係咪？後邊一個蛋糕，前邊一碟蛋糕。
So maybe we want to add, we could do another thing of berries right here.
係啦，所以咧加咗呢一個士多啤梨之後咧，就變成單數啦。又或者你唔用士多啤梨，可以用水都得。係啦，即係咁咧變咗好似有即係有三組嘢啊嘛，咁就變咗係魔術單數啦。係啦，1、2、3啊嘛，1、3、5、7、9，咁3咧就係單數，就係魔術單數。
And then if you wanted to go 5, maybe you have your other plate back here.
係啦，你都可以做5個喎，因為5都係單數嚟㗎嘛。咁可能咧你就要擺喺好後邊啦，就唔好影響，就見咗多而家 Erin 啱啱擺多咗一碟啦，咁仲爭一碟，佢又會擺多一樣嘢喺度嘅。係啦，你又見到，即係就算少少都好咧，佢都被算為一個單位嘅，所以而家就有5個單位喺度啦。
And it's not a hard and fast rule, but the odds normally do okay. Like it's not going to ruin your photo if you took this out. There's only 4 items. You know what I'm saying?
雖然咧，即係好似話呢個魔術單數咧，就好似係一個原則咁，但係其實即係就算當好似頭先啱啱而家 Erin 攞走咗一個咧，其實對於你個畫面構圖都唔係好大影響嘅。特別因為佢喺好後邊同埋係唔係對焦，所以影響呢個畫面嘅唔會好影響呢個畫面。
So let's Maybe put some forks in again to give it some human element.
係啦，佢而家擺啲匙羹啊、叉喺度咧，就等有多啲係人氣，我哋叫有人氣喺度啦。啊。
Okay, so I like the way it looks. I like my angle. I'm gonna tap to focus. Again, this is where I'm focusing. I'm not focusing on this back cake right here, right? That's not my focus.
嗱，記得咯喎，咁當你個畫面構圖做好咗之後咧，咁你記得要點個相機嚟去對焦，咁就點你要影嘅主體。記住，而家我要影嘅Erin 要影嘅主體咧就前邊嗰碟蛋糕，唔係後邊被切開嗰個蛋糕。所以記住，當你點或者士多啤梨唔係，所以記得就係話，當你用呢個人像 mode 要去影相嘅時候，你點嗰個地方咧就係你要佢清晰嘅地方，你要對焦嘅地方。
And I'll do a little review here. If you're in portrait mode and you have, I believe, iPhone 10 and above, you can change the aperture by pressing the F in the upper right corner.
OK， 咁咧，如果冇記錯嘅話咧，蘋果手機嘅 iPhone 10啦，就應該係可以將你嗰個光圈咧調校添嘅，你點一點佢咧，佢下邊見到有個 F number 出現啦，有1.4，咁去到後邊，我諗而家可以去到好大幾多？去到16，去到16，係啦。咁呢個光圈有咩影響咧？有咩作用咧
？It adjusts the depth. So how we talked about depth of field. So basically, it controls how blurry the background becomes. If you open it all the way to the shallowest, you see the background here is very, 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 very shallow. You see the strawberries are very, very blurry.
好啦，呢個 F number 即係光圈啦，個作用係乜嘢咧？就係話你可以嘅景深，我哋即係專業就叫景深，即係話其實你清晰嘅範圍有幾多？咁1.4咧嘅範圍就係好短好少嘅啫，16咧就係好長好深嘅，即係由你好即係由前邊到去到後邊全部都清晰晒嘅，好似而家咁個畫面，你見到後邊啲蛋糕啦、碟啊嗰啲全部都清晰晒嘅。但係如果你用1.4嘅話咧，就係你點邊一度。就邊一度清晰，後邊嗰啲你見到咧，後邊全部都係好朦嘅，咁我哋就叫即係唔係對焦位啦，嗰啲地方就唔係對焦嘅地方啦。咁你就要選擇究竟邊一個 F number， 邊個光圈係適合你呢張相，你要清晰度有幾多，咁你就去揀啦。
So normally when you tap it, your phone will automatically do what it thinks is the best.
OK， 咁而家智能相機話到明智能，即係唔使你諗咁多啦，就基本上咧，你點嘅地方佢就已經幫你計算咗個對焦個範圍係幾多，咁佢已經幫你揀咗個 F number 呢個光圈嘅號碼㗎啦。
But if you wanted to change it, I just wanted to show you because maybe you really do want to show a little bit more strawberry. So you want to move it a little bit deeper so the strawberries become more in focus. So maybe you're at like F8.
係啦，咁如果譬如話而家 Erin 就係展示俾大家睇睇，就係話可能你係想個士多啤梨都有清晰度喎，想睇到個士多啤梨啊，咁佢就將由嗰個 F4.5 改咗到 F8，咁咧就佢可以涵蓋嘅清晰嘅深度咧就多咗好多啦，就係由個蛋糕呢個切開咗蛋糕嘅前邊，去到個士多啤梨後邊呢個距離咧個範圍咧都係清晰嘅。咁你見到左邊嗰個被切開個蛋糕咧都係有少少清晰，但係呢一張而家咧展示呢一張咧就係用4.5影咧，就淨係前邊切開呢碟蛋糕咧係清晰，後邊士多啤梨同埋左邊嗰個被切開嗰個蛋糕咧都係朦嘅。你都見到係啦，好大唔同，好大分別。
Right. So one thing I want you to know is that you see these blueberries, they're really dark.
嗱，見唔見到呢個藍莓咧好黑係咪？係因為係陰暗位。
So let's use our bounce and put it right here and see if we can brighten it up a bit.
好啦，我哋試下將個反光板擺喺嗰度，睇下會唔會可以令到嗰度光啲，唔係咁黑。
Okay.
好，而家影張相嚟睇下，對照下啦，係啦。呢張咧就用咗反光板嘅，見唔見到啊？個藍莓嗰度個位置已經光咗好多。
It was really dark there. So this is without the bounce board.
呢一張咧就係冇用呢個反光板，咁你見到陰暗位同個藍莓嗰度咧就好黑嘅。
And then here it's a little bit brighter.
見唔見到呢個光咗好多啦？相對嚟講。
So I think we can do even better. So I'm going to keep the bounce board. I'm going to, and I'm going to drag up my exposure a little bit.
OK， 咁我想去嗰個陰暗位更加之光啲喎，咁點樣咧？我就會繼續用個反光板啦。但係當我影呢張相嘅時候咧，我就用呢個嘅光度，我增強嗰個光度，即係加光俾佢。係啦，咁啊將嗰個太陽見唔見到佢向上推，咁就光好多啦。
And then I'll take a picture there. Okay, so let's see that. So this is with the bounce board and I exposed it a little higher. You see that now?
呢個咧就係佢用咗反光板加埋增加嗰個感光度。
So this is right before without changing the exposure.
嗱，呢個咧就係用反光板，但係冇改到嗰個感光度。
And this is with exposure going up.
係啦，呢個咧就係將個感光度增強咗，光啲。
So really, with those two things, you can take this photo all the way to this photo.
你見到啦，就係因為佢Erin 所做嘅嘢，就令到咧張相可以由呢一張嘅有咁強嘅陰影位，到少少陰影位，到呢家幾乎冇陰影位。
So let me take it off the tripod. And if you wanted to go with even more detail, this is now the straight angle.
OK 而家咧就攞個相機落嚟，就而家就我哋叫正面影埋去，咁你可以影到更加之多嘅細節位啦。見唔見到啲個水平正面咁埋去
？Some of my honey is starting to run, but you get the idea. If this was a fresh plate and you wanted to be like, wow, I really want to capture all the detail in the honey, then you can come down to this angle. And the reason I want to explain this angle is so nice is because we talked about having vertical and horizontal lines. When you're at a 0 degree, you see these lines in the background, they're straight. And that often... 記得我哋講，sorry 記唔記得？即係呢個角度係非常之好嘅。點解咧？因為我哋之前講構圖嗰陣時候講過咧，因為呢個你見到嗰啲水平位啊，一條條線咁一路係咁去，你見到前面隻碟啊，後邊啲蛋糕啊，都係咁樣好有層次感嘅。 So I'll take one here. So now you have to change. You have to think about cropping again. So at first, when we were at 45 degrees, this was okay because it wasn't in the frame and it didn't distract. But now when you come down here, it seems like, you know, maybe some of this stuff is too distracting.
好啦，頭先咧用45度角嗰陣時候，後邊嗰啲加落去嗰啲咧就因為45度角佢冇重疊到，所以唔影響你嘅構圖。但係因為而家用水平嘅方式咁影埋去咧，咁變咗咧後邊加落去嗰啲咧就變咗重疊咗，同你嘅主體重疊咗，咁變咗個背景咧就冇咁清晰啦。
So why don't we try to clear out our background? So let me show you. This is just our photo right now.
好啦，而家就係Erin 佢需要清一清嗰個後邊個背景啦。咁而家呢啲張咧就係未人清嘅時候影出嚟嘅效果。
So I'm going to clear that back plate. Okay.
好，清走咗啲碟之後點咧
So now we just have the strawberries, okay?
OK， 好，而家淨係得個士多啤梨嗰盤喺度。
Okay, so 而家係啱啱影嘅。
OK， 呢張 ，sorry。
Go ahead。
呢張就係之前影嘅，呢張咧就係啱啱佢執走咗後邊嗰個碟嗰陣時之後影嘅。
And for me personally, I actually find the knife pretty distracting also.
咁你見唔見到後邊嗰把刀咧？其實而家 close up 俾你睇嗰把刀咧，其實個刀柄其實係好影響呢個畫面嘅。
Yeah, because you're like, what is that? I don't really know what that's there for. It's distracting.
係啦，即係因為第一佢又唔清楚咧，根本都唔知佢係乜嘢，咁變咗咧令到你個視線咧，你成日會去懷疑究竟後邊呢樣嘢係乜嘢咧，咁即係話對你個構圖係有影響啦，即係。
I'm gonna take this out.
所以拎走佢。
So now this feels a lot cleaner.
嗱，呢個係咪清晰好多咧
And then maybe just to emphasize it a little bit more, we put another blueberry there.
係啦，為咗效果咧，就加多粒藍莓喺上邊，更加之靚啦。
Okay, so this is the straight. Oh, actually, I'll go even more down. Like this. So if you, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I think the blueberry, you see that? You see the blueberry is the camera didn't really get it.
係啦，咁個相機見唔見到頭先後尾加上去嗰粒藍莓咧？嗰個電話個相機咧，就其實發現唔到佢啊，反而將佢蒙咗，變咗一個背景咁蒙咗。
So this is a perfect example of when you could adjust your aperture to maybe allow it to be a little bit deeper.
好啦，咁呢個咧就係非常之好嘅例子咧，就係你而家就係最好就係喐你嗰個 F number， 令到佢去到16咧，佢可以涵蓋嗰個清晰嘅範圍多啲啦。咁令到嗰粒藍莓咧都可以係喺嗰個對焦嘅範圍裏邊啦。嗱，睇唔睇到呢張咧？個藍莓就係清晰咗嘅對焦嘅。
Okay, so those are the 3 angles that I wanted to show you guys. If I had to improve this photo again, I would say maybe adding the bounce card on this side right here to lighten it up a bit. But sometimes, you know, shadow is nice. I actually really like shadow. And once you start to learn how to read the light and understand what direction the light is coming from, you can start playing around. Maybe you don't always need the bounce card. Maybe you like the shadow in that side. It gives it more interest to you. That's totally fine too. But I just want to give you the skills and the options so that you can play around with light and shape it in the way that makes your food look the best.
好，Erin 就講就係話其實咧，即係呢一張相你可以加嗰個反光板，令到咧嗰個陰影位咧就可以補翻啲光嘅。但係咧，其實陰影咧係好嘅，唔一定唔好噶。咁就視乎你係想呢張相嘅效果係點樣。所以佢依家係做嘅好多啲都係展示俾你睇唔同嘅情況同埋唔同嘅效果。咁咧，當你影嘅時候，你自己可以決定或者選擇究竟係我要多啲個陰影位定少啲個陰影位咧，等等咁樣。呢啲全部都係個攝影師自己做嘅決定嘅。
And before I open it up for questions, I wanted to just show you one more thing. You don't always have to use so many props in the background. That's not always the case. Another thing we learned in composition in 101 is that sometimes negative space is nice because it just emphasizes your subject.
就喺可以開放俾大家問問題之前咧，咁我仲會想講一講就係話當你影呢相嘅時候，唔一定係話要擺咁多配件嘅，即係除咗主體之外，仲擺咁多配件喺側邊嘅。記唔記得我哋之前101嗰陣時講過，就係話其實咧嗰啲白位，即係即係唔係主體以外嗰其他位咧，我哋叫白位啦。有多嘅白位都係好重要嘅，因為嗰個都係一個攝影嘅技巧嚟嘅，運用白位去令到張相係同埋主體突出。咁我哋而家就會示範一下乜嘢為之運用白位。
So instead of having all that in the background, maybe I just really want to focus on this piece of cake. I'm going to take everything else in the background. Maybe I'll put... Maybe I'll do this. I got some mint this morning. So maybe...
好，而家咧我淨想好清晰咁影呢一個蛋糕，啲碟蛋糕嘅啫。咁我哋就清除晒嗰啲側邊嘅嘢之外咧，除此之外咧，
So there's nothing else in the background. It's just
咁就冇其他嘢。
this cake. And I'll focus again right on the cake. And for this one, I'll drag it down a little bit actually. I'll take the exposure down and I'll tell you why. Because then the background can actually get darker and you see more separation from the cake and the background. That negative space is emphasized.
OK， 佢影呢一張相嘅時候咧，你會見到嘅，佢就係反而會將呢一個嘅曝光率咧，我會較暗佢。點解要咁做咧？咁你會見到個背景啊係黑咗，咁令到個前邊嘅主體更加之突出嚟嘅。咁你嗰後邊嘅背景就變成嗰個即係我哋叫白位啦，空間位。
So click one right here. So there you see the separation between the cream and the mint from the background because it was drawn down.
係啦，你見唔見到呢個咧？就係呢一張相，你見到咧就係嗰個上邊嗰個薄荷葉啦，同個背景咧係分開咗，好似分離咗咁嘅樣嘅。呢個係啦，就係即係嗰個叫分隔啦separation 分開啦。Yeah.
I'll take one where it's not as obvious and you can see the difference. So
呢張就有張sorry, go ahead.
This is the one with the exposure drawn down.
嗱，呢一張咧就係佢將嗰個曝光率咧係降低，即係等佢唔好咁光成張相。
And then this one is with it up.
呢一張咧就係個曝光咧就向上，即係多啲光。咁你見到個背景兩個背景同個主體嗰個分別啦。
So this isn't a bad photo, but I think this is a better photo because the contrast is greater.
頭先嗰張咧，即係光啲嗰張咧，其實都唔係差嘅相嚟嘅，只不過黑啲、暗啲嗰張咧，佢嗰個反差大啊！反差大咧，就令到你個主體更加之突出，係更加之靚嘅，更加之好嘅，吸引嘅。
Yeah. Okay. So those are some skills that I utilize all the time in my day-to-day work. There's obviously a lot more and a lot of different things I think about, but I think these are some really major concepts that if you, I mean, even just getting the lighting and choosing the right light, that's already half the battle.
好啦，咁呢個咧就係真係好多謝 Erin 啦，佢就將佢日常工作嘅大部分嘅技巧咧都教咗俾我哋咁我哋可以運用嘅。咁佢就講佢話即係其實如果你改善咗嗰個光源咧，就已經對你張相有好大嘅幫助㗎啦。
So I want to open this time up if you have any questions. I know we went through a lot of things, but please, I am here to answer any questions you may have.
OK， 好啦，而家 Erin 就可以俾大家嚟問問題，咁就見到咧，其實喺個 chat room 咧都有啲人問，佢話佢係用 iPhone X 但係佢揾唔到嘅 F number。
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think it could either, if I'm not mistaken, maybe it starts with
11.
iPhone 10.
It's 11.
Maybe
Yeah,
11.
Uncle Charles has the 11. He checked his phone and
Okay.
he has it.
Yeah,
So-
I think it started with a higher model of the 10. So I'm sorry, Auntie Susan.
Okay.
But
So
it's okay because you don't have to have that function. You just need to be aware when you're taking portrait mode to be aware of how deep you are. If you're starting to get blurry, move further away.
okay. So do you usually just use the natural light because you know how the portrait has contour, has all these other functions? So
Yeah.
I don't use any of those, right? I just use the natural light.
Natural light.
Okay.
翻譯。OK， 頭先講到嘅就係話咧 ，iPhone X 都應該係未有呢個 F number 嘅功用嘅嗰個 function， 咁要功能係啦，咁需要係 iPhone 11或以上先得嘅，要比較新啲嘅 model。咁另外一樣嘢咧就係話，如果假如你個電話係冇呢個 F number 嘅功能嘅話咧，咁你就可以係將個相機同你個主體同埋個背景個關係咧，就可以即係譬如話你將你個相機 同你嘅主體拉遠啲同拉近啲咧，都會影響嗰個主體同個背後嗰啲即係清楚度同埋模糊度都會有互相有影響。咁你可以用咁嘅方法嚟去調校嘅。
One question I have from Auntie Gladys is, how do you capture more light at a restaurant when you don't have a reflecting board? This is a good question.
Yes.
I do this. So part of it is one, identifying, are you in a part of the restaurant that even has good light?
OK， 仲有問題翻譯先。OK， 就係阿 Gladys 就問啦，就係話如果你喺餐廳裏邊點樣可以做到呢個有反光板呢個嘅攝影效果咧？咁樣咁啊 ，Erin 啊，第一樣嘢咧就係話，究竟你個餐廳裏邊嘅光源係如何
？If you're having dinner at the center of the restaurant with no window, forget about it.
好啦，如果你喺個餐廳裏邊夜晚去就得一個光源嘅話，咁你就忘記呢一樣嘢啦。
But if you're at a restaurant and you're sitting either outside or by a window or something like that, my trick is I use my napkin.
係啦，如果你係喺餐廳係日頭，你又坐喺個窗門隔離，或者係喺即係外邊室外嘅話咧，最好嘅阿 Erin 就話用個餐巾或者係餐嘅紙巾，係啊紙巾。
I'm eating lunch right here and the window is right here. I'm looking at my dish. I have my friend hold this napkin so it bounces.
係啦，嗱你見到 Erin 而家咁做就係話，如果你係個環境係可以有個窗門光啊或者等等嘅話咧，就你可能要請你嘅朋友幫你手遞高嗰張餐巾去幫你。嗱，總之你記住個光源喺邊度嚟，你就要喺相反嘅方向擺你呢個反光嘅布又好板又好，嚟到將啲光反翻去嗰個陰影位嘅。咁就如果你冇 friend 嘅話咧，可能就需要有3隻手先得啦。
Hey Erin, so question, right? So meaning that like let's say I'm normally that's the case. I'm at a restaurant and it's at nighttime, right? And the light is not is not that bright, right?
It's never that bright.
So and you because you told me not to use a flashlight, right?
Yes.
So meaning that I cannot take any picture of the food.
You can, but it just won't look like what you think it would look like.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
like,
I see.
Yeah, if it doesn't matter how beautiful the dish is, if you don't have light, it's not going to look good. Because restaurants, their lighting is setting the mood for you, the diner, not for your photography. So it's always dim. It's nighttime. It's like a spotlight over your table. You're gonna get photos that look a lot more like my bad example photos. You're like, what is that?
Oh, but Erin, can I add something? Yeah. OK， 我翻譯咗先。OK， 頭先阿 Gladys 就話如果咁我咪唔可以喺即係個陰暗嘅唔係即係比較暗嘅好羅曼蒂克嘅餐廳裏邊影相。咁 Erin 就話唔係，你都可以影，只不過你唔好諗住你影出嚟嘅相咧會係好似人哋啲專業影食物咁靚咁樣，即係你要係心理預咗嗰張相唔係咁靚噶啦，咁你仍然可以影嘅。咁但係我有個問題啦，即係唔係問題，即係我都試過就係其實有時啲 romantic 嘅restaurant 咧，佢會有蠟燭嘅。咁咧蠟燭有時都可以，如果佢夠光嘅話咧，個蠟燭咧都可以幫到你營造俾到你一啲嘅光嘅效果。What do you think, Erin? What do you think? If some restaurant they may have a candle, right? Candlelight dinner. So yeah. Can we make use of the candle?
You can, but again, a candle, if you think about it, it's a hard light. It's another form of a hard light. It's a single point and it's small and it's going to create shadow. You're only going to see the part that's lit. Unless you have all these candles around your food that is even soft light, then it's still not going to, it'll light the photo, but it won't make it look tasty. It won't make it look like a big diffuse window makes your food look good. I will tell you one little, you can translate that first.
Okay. 咁頭先我講到有蠟燭嘛，得唔得咧？佢話唔係唔得，但係蠟燭咧，記住呢啲光咧都係顏光，所以咧就淨係會俾到光你，但係俾唔到呢個柔和光嘅效果，令到你影到嗰啲食物好靚好美味。但係Erin 佢有個 tips 俾大家，聽住咯喎。
You will look ridiculous at the restaurant.
佢話如果你咁做咧，啲人會話你傻嘅。
So if again you have a friend who is willing to do this for you.
好啦，如果你有朋友，佢亦都願意咁幫你做。
You take your napkin.
攞你嘅餐巾。
And you take your phone's flashlight. And you
用你嘅電話嘅嗰個電筒光。
Now you need 3 friends.
咁你而家需要3個朋友啦。
2個攞住個毛巾，1個射住個。
好，一個咧就要將你張餐巾撐開，另外一個咧就要幫你揸住個電話嘅電筒照住，令到佢成為呢個柔和嘅光線。
Yeah, so this becomes a diffuse light because you have a source of light and it's passing through an object.
好啦，咁咧你就有光源啦，又有呢個filter， 即係嗰個死啊！突然之間又唔記得咗啊。Anyway， 即係有嗰個去將嗰個眼光變得係柔和啦。呢一個咁嚟影嘅話咧，咁就會張相就應該會好好多啦。
It's a very bad version of a sun coming through a window cloth.
咁當然呢個同太陽經過窗門照入嚟嘅效果，梗係爭好遠啦。
But it's better than doing a flash, and it's better than doing candles, I think.
不過咁肯定比蠟燭或者用閃光燈嘅效果係好嘅。
But it still is not better than a window.
當然啦，唔能夠同個太陽比。I mean 個 window 即係柔和光線比。
So if I'm shooting food at dinner, it's really just for my memory. It's not to like show other people like, oh, look at how beautiful this is.
係好咁即係嗰啲咧，淨係為咗係紀念嘅啫，都唔係為咗係影一張叫做所謂專業嘅相片嘅。咁留念呢個都係非常之值得嘅嚇。咁阿 Joel 有個問題就問佢就話如果你嘅電話冇呢個人像功能嘅拍攝模式嘅話，咁點咧
？So at first, especially with the top-down one, you don't need portrait mode for that because portrait mode is really if you want to create the depth, and that more comes into play when you shoot at 45 degrees or at a straight-on angle. But even if you don't have portrait mode, you can still use the same concepts we learned, like how to frame things, how to use the rule of thirds, and how to place objects and clear your background. All that you don't need portrait mode.
OK， 咁就阿 Erin 就講佢話，如果你真係冇呢個人像拍攝功能嘅嗰個啲相機咧，咁其實如果你喺上邊直喺個即係天花度咁直影落嚟咧，你係唔需要呢個人像拍攝模式呢個功能嘅。係如果你係45度角或者係水平咁影埋去咧，先至需要。但係如果你冇嘅都冇問題，記得就係話記住就係個構圖係好重要嘅。如果你能夠將個構圖做好嘅話咧，咁其實冇呢個人像拍攝功能嘅效果都冇問題。咁另外我就加少少啦。咁 because and I add a little bit on this because in the past my phone cannot do that either. So I usually use really close up, just shoot focus on the food. That's it. Nothing, no other background. So then you don't need to use the portrait mode. 咁我自己就咁嘅。我以前即係如果去餐館影，我真係見到碟嘢好好味，我又好想影嘅話咧，我又冇呢個人像嘅功能嘅時候，點咧？我就將佢成個畫面都係充滿晒食物，係唔會加其他外邊嘅嘢，即係冇話啲杯碟其他嘅嘢，淨係影食物。咁就斜地45度角影咗埋去，就攞下啲餸啲嘢，就跟翻 Erin 講嘅個構圖方法，咁咧你都可以影到一幅好靚嘅食物相嘅。
Any other questions?
Let me know. Okay. Saying use the same concept with the regular phone. You just and obvious stuff, but still. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Susan. Okay， 有冇其他問題咧？睇唔切啦。大家有冇問題想問咧？即係除咗係喺個 chat room 裏邊，係啦，而家係開俾大家。
I can really
okay.
Yeah, if no one has questions, I can really quick talk about rule of thirds. Rule of thirds.
Okay.
I need to jump in. Sorry. As people are leaving, I really need to.
Oh yes.
Poll,
Okay.
Okay.
Hold.
Yeah. So Erin, you can hold on for a minute. Sorry,
yes.
guys. I need to have a feedback from all of you. I know you have enjoyed this workshop really much, but if you would spend a minute to just answer a couple questions so we can better improve our upcoming workshops, okay? 咁我知道大家好享受呢一個嘅影相嘅工作坊，咁我希望大家咧可以用1-2分鐘時間咧，俾一啲嘅回應我哋，咁我哋咧以至可以去改善，而且咧去設計更多好嘅工作坊同大家分享。咁我而家咧就會去 launch 個 polling 嘅，咁你亦都可以諗下有咩問題。咁其實咧已經到時間㗎啦，4點鐘。咁如果你可以留嘅，你可以留。咁去問下 Erin 問題。如果唔係咧，你做完個 polling 咧，你都可以按住你自己嘅需要離開會議都冇問題嘅。唔該晒。
Excuse me. I finished the answer, but the submit button does not work. I cannot submit.
Did you finish everything? Every questions?
Well, because this is the first time I participate. So number 2, I did not say anything.
Just pick anything then. Just pick anything and then submit.
Okay, maybe that will work, huh?
Yeah, thank you for.
Okay, yeah, that's right. So
yeah,
maybe next time it should be other.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, I see you now.
Just pick like the last one. So
Yeah,
that,
I did.
okay,
Thank
you so much. So just give 2 more minutes and then I will end the polling and then I'll give the time back to our speaker and our interpreter. If you have any more questions, you can stay. If you don't, you can enjoy the rest of the day. Okay, thank you everyone.
咁會俾多1-2分鐘大家去填啲個回應表啦。咁如果填完之後你仲有問題問咧，咁你可以喺呢度發問嘅。咁會交翻時間俾我哋嘅導師Erin。咁如果 OK 啦，冇問題冇嘢問嘅話咧，就咁你可以選擇離開，咁就去繼續你今日餘下嘅時間去享受你餘下嘅時間啦。享受出邊嘅陽光。
多謝晒。
You are welcome.
Actually,
多謝你參加。
We advertise for the next photography 401 now, while some people might be doing the polling.
Oh, can I ask Erin Ng a question? Would that be the 401? Would you cover taking photos of scenery or people, or would it use the same rules?
Yeah, the rules are still the same for any type of photography. You have to always think about the same, like lighting composition, always, no matter what you shoot. I don't think I'm doing one on scenery and people, but we are, I think Auntie Jo was about to say it, we are gonna have a 401, but it's gonna be actually class participation, where you guys take photos and we will go through them and talk about it.
Oh, a competition.
Yeah, we'll Auntie Jo, I don't know if you want to maybe talk about that.
Okay, let me share the screen. Can you guys see it now? Yes. 我哋係會有 401 嘅，已經定咗日子係12月6號。咁如果有啲人已經離開咗嘅話咧，你知道嘅話聲俾佢知。咁401係做乜嘢咧？401就係話Erin 已經教咗3堂啦。咁佢亦都講咗就係話嗰啲教嘅嗰啲叫基礎原則啦，嗰啲你係可以完完全全用翻晒喺你無論影食物好、影人好、影風景好，咁希望咧大家影啲相翻嚟，咁大家一齊去睇下你點樣去運用你學到嘅技巧，然後 Erin 就會係同你去講下呢張相影得好喎，係喺邊度咧？可能有啲地方需要改進喎，喺邊度咧？咁嗰陣時咧就真係我哋要測試下我哋啲3堂學到嘅新技巧啦、新技能啦。OK， 咁歡迎大家。咁記住，如果你係影咗相之後想係俾我哋即係 Erin 去睇嘅話，即係大家去傾去睇你張相嘅話咧，記得呢度上面咧有個網站，就係我哋嘅 cmt@sfcac.org 咁你將你啲相咧寄到嗰度嘅話咧，我哋就會係擺喺401嗰陣時，大家一齊嚟去睇，一齊去傾嘅。咁Erin 亦都係會即係睇你張相就講出嗰個即係張相嘅地方嘅好嘅地方等等嘅嘢佢就會現場指導嘅。咁但係就因為係12月6號啦，咁就最遲就係12月4號咧，就要將啲相交咗寄嚟俾我哋，咁我哋將佢擺埋一起，需要put together。So the smartphone photography 401 will happen on December the 6th, and that day will be the time for us to use our skills, to shoot some picture and then send it to the cmt@sfcac.org, email us, and then we will talk about, okay, the picture, Erin will talk about, this picture is great because you've apply the technique what she taught in this 3 workshop. So or okay, maybe this you need to move a little bit or adjust how to adjust. It will make this picture from good to great. There's more tips, and also you can ask questions too. Maybe during this 2 months, you may encounter some problem or something, when you apply the technique, I'm not clear actually, so you would like to ask more question, you can do that too during the 401。咁個401咧，除咗係話你影啲相俾我哋睇之外咧，仲係如果你喺呢2個月影相嘅時候發覺，咦有啲嘅原則啊，或者嘅嗰啲Erin 介紹嘅方法，你以為自己知，但係當你影嗰時發覺，咦點解好似我掌握唔到嘅？究竟有咩問題咧？你都可以喺401嗰日係嚟到去問嘅。咁所以咧就係歡迎大家記住12月6號嚟到參加智能電話攝影工作坊401。咁啊，麻煩而家仲喺度嘅弟兄姊妹或者朋友咧，就話聲俾離開咗已經即係今日而家離開咗嘅朋友啊，或者弟兄姊妹知道，等佢哋都預備。Thank you.
Can we submit an old pictures that we already taken?
Sure. 可以。
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? 仲有冇其他問題？
And the picture is about anything. It could be like food, people, anything.
Yeah, anything you like.
Okay.
Thank you.
Of course. So I think we are
That's it, right?
concluded. If anyone has any last questions, maybe I'll be around for another few minutes. But if not, thank you again for coming. I appreciate it. And I hope you all learned just any little thing that could help with your food photography and in photography in general.
今日如果大家仲有問題咧，我仲會喺度留喺度3幾分鐘嘅。咁就如果大家冇問題嘅話咧，就好多謝大家參加今日呢個智能電話嘅攝影工作坊。咁希望咧我所講嘅原則啊，或者一啲嘅攝影技巧咧，都可以幫到大家喺日常生活啦嘅可以運用到出嚟，等大家咧可以影到啲更靚嘅相去enjoy 嘅。Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you. See you next time.
Thank you,
See you next time. 記住啊，12月6號。
Thank you,
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have
Thank
a
you.
safe
Bye.
trip,
Bye
Erin.
bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Share with us.
Will do.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.